Okay folks, pause the video, give this yourself a go first, then I'm going to give you a solution. Okay, I'm hoping you've done this properly yourself. Let's do this step by step. So we've got LDV offset. And we got given to start with the number 10. And what we want to do is move a value into the accumulator. But what value? Well, it's basically saying that we've got to count 10 spaces to our offset, which is down here, from our current location, which is here. So let's do that. But remember, computers start on 0, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we take this number and shove it into the accumulator, which is done for us already. Happy days. The next step is that it wants us to compare value. CMP means compare, so we compare the contents of the accumulator with the number n. Do they match? Well, they don't match. So what we're going to do is we're then going to go to output. The reason why we skip this is because it's false, it doesn't match. This only runs if it's true, if it does match. 10 and 50 do not match. So we're going to ouch, which means output. So, and it's outputting the corresponding ASCII character. So we find 50 and we output 2. The next step is we then have to load LDD offset into our accumulator. So that's direct addressing. We load whatever's in our given address to the accumulator, which is 10. So our accumulator is now 10. It's already given you that. This is where we have to go solo. We're now going to inc, which means increase whatever's in the accumulator. The only time we can change values like increase, etc., is in the accumulator. So if we're going to increment 10, we're going to be given 11. So increment has to be done in the accumulator to like increase a value or decrease a value. We're then going to STO, which means store whatever's in the accumulator into offset. So it's 11 in the accumulator, and I'm going to put that into here. We're then going to jump right back to the beginning where we LDV offset. So again, we look at offset, which is now 11, and we have to count 11 spaces. So we're now taking, at this stage, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's 65. And we put that into the accumulator. So let's go. Let's tidy this up a bit. So now we're going to compare value. We skip this bit. We then output. Outputting is going to be A. We then load LDD offset. So we load whatever's in offset into the accumulator, which is going to be 11. LDD takes whatever is in offset and we'll put it into the accumulator. We then increment it, which is going to be 12. And then we're going to store it back into offset again. There's a pattern here. Great. We're then going to jump back to the start. So right at the start, and we're now getting 12. We know that 12 is going to be 89. So we're going to go 89. We then output the ASCII value of 89, which is Y. So we've just done this. We checked this, by the way, but I just skipped it, and this doesn't match, so whatever. We then load whatever's in the offset into the accumulator, which is 12. We then increment it, which is 13. And then, well, we have lost track. We've just incremented it. Okay, we store it into offset, which is 13. And then we jump right back to the start, where we LDV offset. So 13 is going to be 32. So We then put 32 into the accumulator. We then compare to value. So we find the label value. Does 32 match 32? Yes, they do match. So we're just going to jump to end. And that's it. It's done. Let's do another one. So, pause the video. Whoa, I don't think this is inside my video, so hold on, let me just adjust. Let's have a look. This is how the magic happens, guys. There we go. Okay, pause the video, give it a go yourself first. I'm then going to do a solution. Okay, very similar to the last one. So we've got 15. We compare 15 with num1, doesn't match. We then, so we do LDV 15, so let's do it. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 67. So I apologize, we went to do that first, 67, and then check it with num1, which is 32, doesn't match. We then output the ASCII equivalent, which is C. We then LDD countdown. So we're loading countdown into the accumulator, which is 15. We're then going to take away 1, decrement the value. We're then going to store that into countdown. So we've just done this, I've just done this. We're then going to jump back to the start, where we've got to go to LDV countdown. So this is slightly different to the last one because we're going backwards. So this time it's 14. So we had 67 before, it'll be 51. 51 goes into the accumulator. We then compare 51 with num1, it doesn't match. We then jump to carry on. So we're here now. LDD countdown. So what we're going to do, have I just missed a step? I think I've missed a step somewhere. Let me go back. I'm sorry, carry on. Ouch. Ouch. We're outputting for number 3. Then LDD countdown. So we're going to put in whatever's countdown into the accumulator. We're then going to take away 1. We're then going to store that back into countdown. We then jump back to the start. The start is very simple. We're going to go to 13, which is going to give us the number 32. We then compare to number 1. Does it match? Yes, it does. 32 and 32 match. We're then going to jump to finish, but there's more to do. We've got to then do LDM hashtag 88. So that basically means we're going to load whatever hashtag n is into the accumulator. So n, in this case, is 88. So it's going to be 88 in the accumulator. It then wants us to output, so we're going to output X, and then we're going to simply end. We are done. I'm going to give you another one, but this one's going to be slightly bigger in terms of trace table. So pause the video, give it a go yourself first, then I'll give you a solution. So how's this different? Well, we're dealing with, in all honesty, a slightly different architecture where we've got instruction address this time. We've got different memory address locations. We've got the index register, and we've got an output like we had before. So this is new compared to the last question, and this is new, and we've got several memory address locations. We've still got the accumulator as well. Great. And it's done the first bit for us. So we LDX 200. So we go here, we get 130, and we put it into the index register. How did we get here? Well, we got LDX, which is basically take the address and the context in the index register. The index register is 0, 200, 200 plus 0 takes us to here, 130. That's the first thing it's done for us. Okay, so the next bit, what we're going to do is we've got to go to the next instruction address, which is 71, which is output. So all we're doing is we're outputting whatever's in the accumulator. So we've got 130. This is similar to where we had ouch in the past. It's not going to be outputting the accumulator itself, but it's going to be the reference point, because it tells us here, output to the screen, the character whose ASCII value is stored in the accumulator, which is going to be this little star. I'm just going to do it like that. The next line is we're going to STO203. So we're going to take whatever's in the accumulator and put it into 203. So in the accumulator is 130, and we're going to put that now into 203. So I'm going to cross these off. Done, 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 done. We're then going to LDD 204. So we're going to go to whatever's in 204, which is 0, and put it into the accumulator. And that is line 73. 74 is increment the accumulator, so we're now going to be on 1. We're now going to store 1 into 204. We're now going to, this is new, we're going to increment the index register. So the index register is down here, it's 0, it's now going to be 1. So let me just do it on here as well. 75, and that's going to be 1. And this time we're going to LDX 200, but plus whatever's in the index register, 1. So 200, and have I made a boo-boo? I have made a boo-boo, I'm so sorry. Let me go back a step. I think this is meant to be, let me just clear this up. Yep, I was getting too carried away. So we did that, store into 204 for 1, 76, increment the index register, which is 1 here, there we go. Back on track. So 77, we're going to jump to 201, which is 133, and load it into the accumulator. We're then going to compare 133 with whatever's inside 203. Whatever's inside 203 is now 130. They don't match. So 78, nothing's actually happened. 79 is where it's telling us JPN 81. So if it's false, jump to 81, which is down here. So 79, nothing happens. There's no 80. We don't need to do 80 because we skipped it. We jumped it. 80's been jumped. We went from here to here, so I don't need to put 80 in my address instructions. But 81, LDD 204. So we go to 204. It's got the number 1 in it. And we load that into the accumulator. Happy days. We're now going to compare 205, which has got the number 2 in it, with the accumulator, which is 1. They don't match. So we're at JPN. So let's just do that. 82. They don't be compared. 80. So we've just done this. We've done this. And we're now going to jump to 74. So let me just clear these out. We're back to here again, where we're going to increment the index register, and we're going to increment the index register. So we put 74 back into here, right there. Done. We then store that into 204. So we now got 2 inside of here, but that should be 75. I get too carried away, 11. Now we increment the index register. Let's just make sure we put this onto the next line. So that's now going to be 2. and we LDX 200 plus 2, which gives us 130. So 77, 130, and I'm running out of room, but never mind, life goes on. We compare 203, which is 130, with what's in the accumulator. So we've compared, that'll be 78. So 79, do we need to do 79? Well, we need to, well, no we don't, so we can actually skip 79. But we do need to carry on because 130 matches 130, which is why we don't need to do 79. 79 is, if it's false, we run 79, but it's true. 130 matches 130. But we do need to do 80 because we're just going to carry on. And we're going to output, and we're going to output again. And I'm an idiot. You might have picked this up earlier. I put 1 and 2 in the wrong column. I just spotted that now. So 1 should be in here, and 2 should be in here, in the index register. Okay. 81. 81 LDD 204. So 81, load in 204. 204 is the number 2. That's the value inside of it. $82. Compare with what's inside 205. Inside 205 is 2, so they match. But we don't need to show anything on here. As they match, we don't need to do 83. But we do need to do 84, which is end. And that is it. We are done.